Welcome everyone, Sparky White here. Today I'm bringing my pure Lightsworn build to you for the end of 2019, so I hope you enjoy it. I had a comment on whether people ran pure Lightsworn builds these days on a previous video, and though it's most likely not meta, it's actually a lot of fun to play. The list I've made does comprise of a main Lightsworn base and really only uses a few tech cards to keep it going. The main objective, of course, is to get Judgment Dragon on the field to blow up what your opponent can set up, with a few other monsters designed for protection. So, without taking any more time, let's get started. First of all, of course, I'm running 3 Judgment Dragon. That is because Judgment Dragon is one of the main cards you want to have in this deck, being Lightsworn, of course. 3 Raiden, definitely a staple in any Lightsworn build. It helps get a lot of cards into the graveyard, and also is just a good starter as your level 4. We've also got 3 Wolf, and I'm also running 3 Lumina. With the amount of cards you actually get into the graveyard, Wolf is very, very handy. And the fact that we've got Lumina here, it's not actually a once per turn, it's just a once per time you have her out, once per time you have that card on the field. So if you were to mill her into the graveyard, you could then bring her back using her discard effect, and then also bring another monster back from the graveyard if you have one there. I run 2 Felice, 1 Lila, a Gareth, and then also 1 Celestia. Just gives you a lot more names for Judgment Dragon in your graveyard, so hopefully you can actually bring it out a lot quicker. You can also use a spell and trap removal and monster removal for Felice as well, but it just depends on how you play it. Now in this I also run, moving on from the Lightsworn monsters, I now run 2 Honest. This because it can actually be quite handy if you have it with you in your hand. Where there are a lot of light monsters in this build, so you're very likely to be able to stop your opponent by using it as pretty much a hand trap. I have 1 White Dragon Wyver Burster and 1 Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. Obviously these are on the ban list, so you can only have one of them, but they are very, very helpful. There's a lot of light monsters going into the graveyard, so Black Dragon Collapse Serpent helps there. And the White Dragon Wyver Burster you can bring to your hand if you do end up taking it off the field. I run a Photon Thrasher, very helpful if you have it in your first hand, and also if you get Rhoda and you don't have any Raidens left, you can also bring it to your hand. I run 1 Dawn Knight. Now, Dawn Knight is very helpful in the way that if you send it straight to the graveyard, you can actually collect a light monster and put it on top of your deck. And if you actually send it from the field to the graveyard, you can return a light monster, you can send a light monster from your deck to the graveyard as well. So then you can actually get another monster to replace it. Then also we're moving on to Destrudo. That's the last monster I run in this build. It's a dark monster, so it can help with White Dragon Wyver Burster, but also being able to get out your rank 7, your Synchros for like level 7s like Michael. So it's very, very helpful there. It's very likely to get into the graveyard as well. Now moving on, we have the spell cards. I run 3 Charge of the Light Brigade. Very, very simple starter for a Lightsworn build. Milling those 3 and then getting 1 to your hand. Also 3 Solar Recharge. Very, very useful Lightsworn card, so definitely a must. Now I use 2 Photon Lead. This is because we are running a lot of light monsters in this build, and getting the light monster's special summon from your hand could also stop you having to use that normal summon, which you could be keeping to the side, in case your opponent is trying to negate that. I run 1 Photon Sanctuary. You do have to be careful with this card. It can give you 2 light level 4 monsters, which can go into your rank 4 plays, but you also have to be aware that it does only allow you to use light monsters for that turn. So it can get you out of a tight spot if you need a couple of monsters there, but you also have to be wary of how you use it. Moving on, I've got 2 Double Summon and 1 Rhoda. Double summon pretty much speaks for itself, getting that second normal summon, which you can find quite helpful with Lightsworns, and the rotor just to get a Raiden or the likes of Photon Thrasher to your hand. And then I'm just running 4 traps in this build. I'm using 2 Light Spiral, a Lightsworn Judgment, and Breakthrough Skill. The versatility of Breakthrough Skill is very, very helpful. It gets into the graveyard, you can still use its effect to negate, and Lightsworn Judgment is very likely to get into the graveyard as well by using one of your monster's effects. Now moving on from this, we now have the extra deck. That's a pretty good 40 cards. I'm running, in my rank 4s, I'm running Minerva, Regente Tsukiyomi, Tornado Dragon, Castel, Skyblast Musketeer, and Abyss Dweller. So there's quite a lot of rank 4s here which are very, very useful. Minerva, obviously, if your Lightsworn plays. If you're finding that your hand's getting a bit clunked up, you can use your Regente Tsukiyomi just to try and refresh that. Spell and Trap Negation for Tornado Dragon, and obviously with Castel and Abyss Dweller as well, just trying to interrupt your opponent. Now I'm also into the Synchro monsters. I'm using a Black Feather Dark Rage Dragon. I find this quite useful because if you take damage, you're able to mill the top 5 cards off your deck. So with a Lightsworn, that's very handy. It can get another couple of monsters onto your field. So if you have something like Michael as well, where you take 1000 damage to banish a card, you'll find that you'll be able to use that in synchronization pretty well. I use an FA Dawn Dragster and Cyframe Lord Omega because of the negation of Spell and Trap, and also with Cyframe Lord Omega, being able to banish one of your opponent's cards can be very, very helpful. Now onto the Link monsters. I'm running 1 Proxy Dragon, Hit Pushingen, Triple Burst Dragon, Decode Talker. I'm also using Curious, Lightsworn Dominion, pretty useful card and very necessary with a Lightsworn build, and Borrowload Dragon. So that rounds it out for the deck, and pretty good extra deck as well. So hopefully that is very, very good for everybody to be using there. Now, I do find with the recent news of Master Rule 5 coming in next year, I am actually quite looking forward to some of the older archetypes getting a bit more popularity, and the changes to the meta that could actually bring. So if you guys have any thoughts, leave them in the comments, because it'd be great to hear what you guys have. But that brings us to the end of the profile. I hope you've enjoyed this, and let me know down in the comments if there are any other cards that could improve this build. If you're enjoying my pure builds and would like to see more, please leave a like on the video, subscribe, and check out the rest of my channel for more content. See you back here next time.